The Justin Robert Young podcast is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/JURY. Let's do the show. Welcome, day four of our minisodes, and this will probably be the last one because I'm going to put out the compilation of days 1 through 4 out on the podcast feed today. One gigantic episode with all 4 episodes all put together. So this is going to be a weird one if you are getting this on the podcast as one. But the idea is that we are trying out, and we'll probably do next week. I feel like this format has been successful enough in terms of crowd reaction. Patrons seem to like it. That what we're going to try next is to do this on the podcast feed 5 days a week. So if people like it past that, we'll think about making it permanent. So I guess what I'm saying is we are officially hereby coronating that the JuRY Daily Experiment will last another week. Huzzah! A resounding huzzah went up from the crowd. All right, we got a lot to talk about. We got just an amazing review of The Incredibles 2. We have a headline that I wasn't sure was actually real until I read the article. And we have... it's rare that you get to look out into your world and see something so amazing. Like, you ever look at a seashell, like a conch shell, and you're like, oh my God, what exquisite design. There truly must be a divine creator, because beauty like this is created in our natural world without being touched by a single person. You can watch splendor in front of you. A murder of crows dipping and diving through an autumn night. Fireflies illuminating in front of a child's eyes. And a bunch of fans trying very seriously and earnestly to remake The Last Jedi. Oh! Mwah, mwah. It's just so beautiful. We will talk all about it, as well as your emails, and maybe a wild Tom Merritt at the end of this year program. But first, let's go ahead and get to this Incredibles 2 review. This has been kicking around for a little bit, but I figured it was worth it to bring it up here. This is from a Deadspin article, wherein they have kind of highlighted it comically. Here we go. This is the headline. The New Yorker film critic has reservations about a children's movie because his boner kept blocking the screen. Now, I saw The Incredibles 2. It was good. If you liked The Incredibles, you should probably see The Incredibles 2. It doesn't quite have the narrative cohesion that the first one did, but hell, it's a great time revisiting these characters that are very, very interesting. I will admit that there were points during that movie at which I gazed my eyes upon the screen and internally thought, man, Elastigirl's a pog. P-A-W-G. Google it. But that's pretty much where it went. And aside from thinking about how to make a some kind of, funny joke on the internet. That was pretty much where it ended. I was not Anthony Lane. Anthony Lane is the New Yorker film critic and wrote the following 3 excerpts as they were taken from Deadspin. As a rule, any marriage which one partner can willingly cry out to the other, "Trampoline me," inspires envy and awe. In the heart of the action, that is what Mr. Incredible says to Mrs. Incredible in Incredibles 2. And I'm disappointed to report that the action in question is merely the manic pursuit of a gigantic drill that is whirring through a crowded city and demolishing everything in its path, rather than a lazy afternoon in the marital boudoir with the door discreetly shut. So immediately, Anthony is already in here writing his own slash fiction. He heard "Trampoline me." God knows what he imagines "Trampoline me" to be in his own personal little world. Maybe that'll be for the sequel. He then goes on. First came Mad Men, which boasted its own range of period accoutrements, but which choked out yearning for the suits, smokes, and frocks, the whiskey tumblers, the Sinatra album, and the rest of the gear by reminding us of the society they once adorned, with its oppressions both casual and institutional, and its half-concealed despairs. Incredibles 2 can scarcely own up to those, not with young children in the audience, but what it can do, even without stating the dilemma, is to offer a solution. Hence the sight of Helen accelerating off to work, away from her justly abandoned man in a black mask, her long, tall boots, and her empowering outfit as tight as a second skin. Now you might think, all right, that's a little bit creepy. That's a little bit weird that, number one, you've already stated that you can imagine Mr. and Mrs. Incredible fucking, but that you've also decided that you now need to, almost with a leering gaze. This is like the literary version of the cartoon where the wolf starts like slamming his feet on the ground and taking a look at the saloon singer and having her turn in, fade slowly to a piece of meat, and then slowly fade back to the saloon singer. But here we go. This is where it gets awesome. We continue to Anthony Lane's review. Take your seat at any early evening screening of The Incredibles 2 in the coming days and listen carefully. What you may just hear is a shifty sound as parents squirming awkwardly beside their enraptured offspring. And why, kids? 'Cause mommy just leaned over to daddy and whispered, quote, "Is it me, or does Mrs. Incredible kind of look like Anastasia from 50 Shades of Grey? You know, the girl in the red room with all the whips and all," end quote. And daddy just rested his cooling soda firmly in his lap, and like Mr. Incredible, tried very hard to think of algebra. As for how daddy will react later on during the scene in which Helen and the husky-voiced Evelyn unwind and simply talk woman to woman, I hate to think. But watch for flying popcorn. Because his dick will send it flying. Yes, imagine the trebuchet-like action of this person's penis flinging a box of popcorn across the theater, landing comically atop a blue-haired old maid's head, cascading popcorn throughout the theater, because that's how dicks work. I mean, I don't know why he even took the time to write when he could have just as easily had filled up the quotient, his news hole, as it were, wink, with just an extended version of boing. Just how many OIs? How many OIs and boing would you need to fit where his review went? The Incredibles 2 by Anthony Lane. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Who writes like this? I mean, understood that the New Yorker, it's not like there's going to be a lot of kids that are like, Mommy, Daddy. I was reading the New Yorker, and there seemed to be some weird things about the Incredibles. Also, what the fuck does this cartoon mean? It's a little New Yorker joke. It made me laugh so hard. Thank God. Thank God this exists. I feel like this version of the show will be a lot more heavily leaning on me making fun of journalism. I hope you guys like that. Speaking of headlines, this is another news segment I would like to introduce called "This is an Actual Headline Now." All right. Just want to let you all know this is a real headline written in a real paper. Akon wants to found a real-life Wakanda based around his cryptocurrency, A-Coin. I will read that for you one more time. Akon, the singer, wants to found a real-life Wakanda based around his cryptocurrency, A-Coin. If you're not familiar, Akon is, I would probably say he kind of peaked as an R&B singer in the early aughts. Would that be safe to say? In the 02 to 08 range was when Akon had his biggest hits. Now, you can't knock the hustle. Not going to knock the hustle. In fact, you want to know what? I don't even really want to talk about this. I feel like it would be better if I just left it with this headline. Akon wants to found a real-life Wakanda based on his cryptocurrency, A-Coin. There we go. That's it. Just hashtag 2018. That's where we are right now. Number one, because identify how weird this is. Number one, Akon, the popularization of the place known as Wakanda, and a cryptocurrency named A-Coin. Now, apparently, as Fitchif is making me aware in the chat room that Akon, there's Akon memes. Akon's making a comeback. I don't know. All I do know is that Akon wants to found a real-life Wakanda based on his cryptocurrency, A-Coin. All right, that's it. We're done with that. Here's what I really want to get into. Because, man, I'm not... I've seen many beautiful things in my life. I remember very, very vividly the moment, the first time that I cast my eyes upon my future wife, Ashley, and I fell in love. I have been at the top of mountains watching the sunrise. But what I saw this morning, just, I dared not even believe it real. I had to do research to believe it was real before I would allow myself to get excited by it. Remake The Last Jedi.com if you want to also experience what I experienced, the beauty, the majesty of Remake The Last Jedi.com. Please. This became a Twitter meme today. Because of a series of tweets from Remake The Last Jedi's Twitter account. Here is what is on the website. This is a campaign to provide Disney an opportunity to course correct with the Star Wars franchise. The fans are completely divided, and the core goal of Star Wars has been abandoned. The goal is to not make one half of a fandom happy over the other. It is to make a film that the fandom in general, as a whole, enjoys. The heroes' archetypes of the original films is what made them so great. It made characters that everyone could relate to, regardless of their backgrounds and beliefs. No longer having this core element, along with poor storytelling, has made the franchise divisive in its disarray. It then adds, in yellow type, the producers behind this have pledged to cover the budget, but you can pledge an amount, have your voice heard. You do not have to put financial or personal information in, just an email address and a pledge. There is some fine print at the bottom. Legal disclaimer, this is not an attempt to infringe on any copyrights and trademarks of Disney and Lucasfilm. This is a parody video aimed to raise awareness for the campaign and offer money to Disney and Lucasfilm for the sole purpose of remaking The Last Jedi. So here's what they want to do. They want to crowdsource a script. They want to offer money to Lucasfilm because Lucasfilm needs money. And they want to remake, not do a new movie, but to remake The Last Jedi. Now, I have a realization that I believe that I've made here that I will get to in a second. But before that, I do want to read some of the tweets that kind of became a thing. Because I want this to happen. Spoiler alert. I really, 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 really want this to happen. For a few reasons. Number one, I am religiously resolute in my pop culture opinion that everything should be remade at all times. That we should be understanding stories as myths to be retold and reshapen. Let's take core elements of it and change a few things. Yes, like any experimentation, 99% of it will be garbage. But if we get to relive the best stories of our modern era in new light and bring new interesting thoughts to what are already popular ideas, then I'm for it. Now, that being said, I think this is a horrifying idea. Just a really, 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 really bad idea to try and rewrite The Last Jedi. This is what went down on social media today. We will be consulting with Star Wars fans directly throughout the writing and remake of The Last Jedi, as the plan is to make a version of TLJ that is as close to universally accepted as possible. So, number one, we are promising that most people will like it. I assume this means also people that liked the first The Last Jedi. It goes on. In fact, we want our writing team to be a diverse group of people that both loved and hated TLJ. We will have an inbox for story treatment submissions and actually hire people onto the writing team from what we achieve. So this is your chance to write a Star Wars film. Iron sharpens iron, it went on. And the best writing comes from a group of people who have differing opinions but can constructively work together for the best story possible. Not just one writer sitting in a room thinking whatever pops into their head is the best idea ever. The people in power think the fans who disliked The Last Jedi... You're right, I should be reading this as Rush Limbaugh. The people in power think that the fans who dislike The Last Jedi are an irrelevant minority of basement dwellers who are just keyboard cowboys that will never actually affect real change. If you don't want them to win, then spread hashtag remake The Last Jedi and let your voice be heard. Then, like Martin Luther nailing the 99 thesis, I think I fucked that up. It's the 99 something, right? He had 99 problems. Remake The Last Jedi at RM The Last Jedi. Then went on to why The Last Jedi needs to be remade. Criticizing Lucasfilm for not having a more hard and fast template for what the story to be told would be. Criticizing The Last Jedi for its incompatibility with The Force Awakens. Just demolishing The Last Jedi for how they handled Luke Skywalker. And blah, blah, blah. Poe Dameron, Canto Bight. The whole schmear. There's a lot of people right now in our Twitch chat. By the way, twitch.tv/JustinRYoung if you want to be a part of the live show, are pointing out that this might be a parody. I am now going to tell you that I don't think it's a parody. I believe that if this is not totally real, then it rather is a harvesting scheme for people's emails. Because this isn't actually a crowdfunding page. When you go to remakethelastjedi.com, it's literally just, it's got a bunch of rewards on it of what you can do, but you literally don't have, it's a Google form. You just have to enter your email address, which I will do right now. Justin Robert Young plus, what is this shit? At gmail.com. And I am choosing to pledge $10,000. I am pledging $10,000 to this cause. I believe in this cause so much that I'm going to pledge $10,000. Now, I'm doing it on plus what is this shit? Should I use another email address? Should I not use my main email address? Fuck it. I'm going in raw. Submitted. All right, guys. There we go. I've pledged $10,000. $10,000. Now, I hope that this is created for that this is created for media hype. Because, oh my God, is it perfectly designed to do it? Because I will guarantee you this. Tomorrow, if not tonight, you are going to see legitimate news outlets that are going to say fans have already pledged over $100 million to remaking The Last Jedi. Because it's already up to 11 million. And I'm in for 10,000. So these are totally fake numbers. But will major media outlets be able to look through? Will they be able to tell that this is very obviously just a completely fictitious number? Oh, hell no. They will not be able to resist the fact that they can put $100 million and remake Star Wars in the exact same headline. After Solo bombs, fans cobbled together $100 million to remake The Last Jedi. I will fucking guarantee you that this is going to happen. I will guarantee you that this is going to happen. Just watch. When this happens, hit me up on Twitter. @ReplyMe, Justin R. Young on Twitter, and be like, Justin, you were right. In fact, don't do anything. Just @ReplyMe, link the stupid article that will almost assuredly happen, and say, Justin, you were right. Now I got to figure out where I'm going to get this $10,000. Maybe the answer will be in my email. You can email in justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Again, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. RJ writes, I remember you talking about how restaurant managers are almost universally terrible people. My local Applebee's just found out that one of the managers stole, wait for it, just under $80,000 over the course of a year. How exactly he did it has yet to be revealed, but my cousin happens to be a bartender at this same location and said the guy would typically stay by himself late into the night and work on the books. They must have been hard up for managers because apparently this guy had worked at several places that had shut down before. I guess we now know why. Think about this guy whenever you get on your high horse and talk about how tipping is awful. That's all I'm saying. Matt writes, I think that shitty people who are talented is just putting perfume on a pile of shit. I don't care how talented you are. If you beat your significant other like Chris Brown and this dead rapper who I never heard of until he was dead, or were just kind of a self-righteous dick looking at you, Kanye, or molest kids or whatever, that one director and Kevin Spacey too, ? Please don't write in and just make me say your slander, Matt. Jesus. Well, just be sure about who you're libeling before I have to repeat it on the show. I don't think that somebody's talent should outweigh or really influence people's thoughts on who that person is. I've never liked Kanye as a person. I think he's a bit of a C, and because of that, I've never enjoyed his music. So if somebody who's a bad person who did something neat died, I think you can be upset that you won't get any more of the neat thing that they did. But I won't lose any sleep that a bad person died. This situation may be a little different, though, because I've known a bunch of shitty 20-year-olds who turned it around later in life, and extension will never get that chance. Matt, I get where you're coming from, but I do think that there is more nuance to it than what you're giving it. Let me ask you a question, Matt. Who is the most problematic person whose work you enjoy? Because I guarantee you there's at least one. There's one person whose work you legitimately love that has a real they have problems in their personal life. Now, it might not be demons like we're talking about, but if you're going to draw the line at just kind of being a cocky asshole like Kanye, then I don't think there's any art in the world that's been untouched by cocky assholes. All right. What do you say we go ahead and wrap this shit up by talking to your friend and mine, the man, the myth, the legend, Ace Detect. The other thing I like about this format is I was thinking about just doing more of this kind of stuff, just doing random calls to people at the end of the show. Just do little mini 5-minute things. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he is the host of Daily Tech News Show. We shared a lovely breakfast last Saturday in the Mission. His name is Tom Merritt. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I got my head way deep in tax precedents.
So we're probably going to talk about the Supreme Court case on Daily Tech News Show today. What is the TLDR?
The TLDR is that the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the state of South Dakota on sales by Wayfair to South Dakotans, even though Wayfair has no physical presence in the state. And what I'm digging through right now is there were previous precedents that said relating to catalog sales.
Yeah.
Well, you can't tax somebody who doesn't exist in your state just because they're mailing something to your customers. That's a violation of the Commerce Clause. Only Congress can regulate interstate commerce like that.
Yeah.
And I have yet to dig too far into today's ruling, but the rough idea seems to be that Justice Kennedy said, yeah, but the internet is everywhere. So, you know, this is not an undue burden on the company. And, you know, the internet makes things different than mail order. So now you can collect the tax.
So now you are going to have to be collecting tax from everybody that buys something based on that state, right? Correct.
And I think probably the biggest misconception that might be out there is that this is new.
Yeah.
The de facto reality is that Amazon fought and lost these battles years ago.
Yeah.
And collects tax in every state that has a sales tax. They don't collect tax in every state. Some states don't collect sales tax, but Amazon does this, eBay does this. What hasn't happened, and this causes a little bit of confusion, is a third-party seller who is its own business but uses Amazon as a platform and says like, oh, well, I'm just using Amazon to connect with my people. Amazon doesn't collect tax for them.
Yeah.
They leave that up to the third-party seller. It's up to you. And those third-party sellers have relied on the fact like, well, I'm a small business and I'm only in Missouri, so I only have to collect tax if the customer is in Missouri. Now those third-party sellers, based on this court decision, will probably have to collect tax no matter where in the U.S. someone orders.
Yeah, it's definitely going to, man, I'll tell you what, if you are a coder and an entrepreneur, easy Shopify plugins that connect to bank accounts so you can easily settle these kind of tax bills with all these different states is going to be something that I think will be very popular.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
All right, we don't need to do more tech stuff. There is a big Intel story that we'll probably talk about on Daily Tech News Show. Daily Tech News Show, everybody go watch it and listen to it and love it.
Suffice to say, folks, if you have been dating someone from work and you haven't informed work, you might get kersenaged.
Yeah. So, remaking The Last Jedi. Do you find this as funny as I do?
Oh, it's hilarious. Yes. I mean, I don't like to brag, but I think I'm capable of finding this as funny as you.
Oh.
I might match you.
I really hope, there's part of me that really, really wishes, and I would suspect that there is nobody more, and who knows if he would say it out loud, nobody more than Rian Johnson that would love to watch somebody else take on the challenge that he had to take on in creating The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Right?
He's a guy who's like, yeah, sure. All right. You know, like he plays it pretty straight, and I think he understands the internet more than many directors.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh my God, he'd just be making all of his fan accounts, like making sure his Reddit account is in good standing, so he can write his 4,000 word teardown of whatever a remake to The Last Jedi would be, because that dude has gone through so much shit about this movie.
I love to. The premise that you were reading that The Last Jedi deviated from the goal of Star Wars, which is to please all the fans.
Yeah.
Which, A, I don't think anyone has ever stated that's the goal of Star Wars. B, there's this other strain of people who get outraged if an artist only does something to please the fans, right? Like, oh, it's just fan service. And what this petition is like, please do only fan service. Thank you.
Is it time? So maybe Disney, this is a pitch for Disney, because it is very, very clear that Star Wars has become religious, right? And that what we are seeing now is a schism in this religion, right? Mm-hmm. That this is a splinter group.
Oh, it certainly isn't the first one, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But let's just say, what if Disney canonized that and just said, all right, look, we'll still own everything, but if you want to make your if you want to become the Remakarians and make your own thing, well, you're gonna pay us and we'll make all the money. Sure, go ahead. We'll put it out on VOD. Whatever. You can have your own thing. We'll make the money on it. You guys can have your own. We will, as long as we get to own God. You can have as many different versions of the church as you want.
Oh my gosh. It's kind of what the Catholic Church tried to do.
Yeah, right?
They were like, look, Ireland, you can have your spin. That's fine. But it has to be Catholic. You try to split off, and we're going to have problems.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we still get paid unlimited freedom to do what you want.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is just an email harvesting scheme?
Oh, quite possible. That is certainly not. Put it this way: my new favorite way to evaluate something is to say, "Hey, even if this isn't the only reason, could it be an also reason?" And that could definitely be an also reason, where somebody's like, the other thing we could do while we're doing this funny idea I had is just collect all these email addresses and sell them, and make a little money on the side. I wouldn't rule out that possibility.
Do me a favor. I want everybody, if you don't know what Tom looks like, then please Google Tom Merritt on the internet. I want everybody to close their eyes. Tom, close your eyes and imagine yourself Babe Ruthian pointing to call your shot for the home run, and give me the press outlet that's going to run the totally fraudulent Star Wars fans have raised $100 million to remake The Last Jedi story.
My problem in this exercise is I actively avoid those outlets. So I'm actually less familiar with the nuances among them. Who am I thinking of? It's probably going to be, gosh, I'm having a hard time.
I'm thinking like a celebrity focused publication.
Sure. I wasn't even thinking in that direction. I was thinking more like, Denver local NBC or something like that.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah.
Bryce in the chat points out Forbes contributor. That would be
Forbes is a good one. Yep. Nailed it. Forbes is a great one for that.
I would also think like People, like People magazine or something like that, or Us Weekly.
I don't think BuzzFeed goes with that. BuzzFeed likes the clickbait headline, but they like to be more meat behind it. So I would say not BuzzFeed. Forbes is a great one. I don't think Wall Street Journal does it either. Wall Street Journal, they like to take the truth and make it sound enticing, not totally like take something that has no substance behind it.
Yeah. BitTorrent News doesn't exist anymore. Another Jay Martin, RIP.
Forbes, I think Bryce nailed it.
Yeah, Forbes. All right. So when the inevitable Forbes article hits, that's, God, I don't know if I've been more excited about something Star Wars related since I knew that there was a gratuitous cameo in Solo and was just waiting because I didn't know who it was. It was my own little game, and I was so excited when it happened, and it was a totally off the board guess Now the new excitement that I'm having is waiting for this inevitable article to blossom.
It's almost irresponsible for publications who make their money doing that kind of thing not to write that headline. Like it could be, you could have a shareholder revolt amongst those companies if they didn't write that headline.
Because it is irresistible, which is why I want it to be a fraud. I actively want it to be a fraud because it is just, I'm jealous. I'm jealous at how weaponized it is to take advantages of the failings of our modern media establishment.
I remember the Weekly World News position, Kids Ask Your Parents, the Weekly World News tabloid, that used to be on the grocery store shelves, and they would do the Bat Boy stories, if that jogs your memory. Their position was, look, people tell us things happen, and we print it. We're not a company that questions people and doesn't believe in people.
Exactly.
That's how they publicly justified.
These are all one source stories.
Yeah.
And we are choosing to run these one source stories.
Who are we to doubt this person that is telling us that Bat Boy is in a cave in Austin?
Yeah.
We're not going to judge people. And so I feel like any of these outlets, and I actually think Forbes is a little bit closer to the center than what I'm about to describe, but any of these outlets who've made their name on, look, if we can, describe something this way without outright lying, then that it's going to bring in the clicks, and we should do that. Like, has to run this story because Star Wars fans, that's what they say they are, have pledged, but fudge it a little, raised this much money. Your headline wrote itself,
right? Just and it ties into the Solo thing. Now it's an entertainment trend piece. Like it's kind of perfect. I love it. I love every second of it. Tom, anything else you want to talk about?
Just a little teaser that I have a new novel out called Gallium. Big thanks to everybody who pre-ordered Trigor, the sequel to Pilot X. You guys, the first 750 of you anyway, all have a free link to a PDF, or you did. So I hope you took advantage of that, to Gallium. But Gallium's now available for everybody out there, slowly making its way into the channels. So I'll be plugging it a little more once I have it in every store that I want it to be in. But be on the lookout for it. It is a story about a woman in a solar system who's a salvager and discovers a historical find that the company who founded the system really doesn't want to be made public, and all the troubles she goes through. If you ever read my novel Lot Beta, it's set in that same universe. Not a sequel, but set in that same universe.
And production underway on the audiobook, right?
Yeah, we got about a third of the way through the audiobook this weekend with Ms. Veronica Belmont narrating.
Ooh, Veronica Belmont. I got to see her for like 5 seconds. It was nice on Saturday.
Yeah, you got to see her on a support call with an electric bike rental.
Yes. She was very vexed by the electric bike, which, by the way, since San Francisco chased out all the scooters, now we have nothing but scooters out here in Oakland. I'm loving this scoot life. As long as you can swallow your dignity and get on one of those ridiculous contraptions, they're pretty cool and they're pretty handy and they're pretty cheap. It was like $2.
With your bike helmet, and obeying all the rules always. Yeah, it's a great thing.
I swear to God, I am going to clothesline some motherfucker if I see him on the sidewalk again. Just get off the fucking sidewalk. Get on the street. I know it's bumpy. No, you got to ride on the street. And these wild animals zipping around on the sidewalk. I'm just going to super kick them next time I see them. All right.
I have to say, most of the people in my neighborhood are pretty good at parking them to the side. Every once in a while, there'll be one left right in the middle of the sidewalk. But the parking problem has not been as much of an issue here.
I don't care about the part of them parking the scooters. I care about them riding them on the sidewalk.
Well, I actually care about them parking because if I'm walking the dogs, it can be a hassle. And we have some wheelchair folks in our neighborhood. But like I said, mostly it's not.
I will say this. I saw your friend and mine, Brian Brushwood, riding a scooter up to your house, and he was on the sidewalk. And I almost ended the show right there. All right. That's about it. Thank you so much, Tom. I'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Here's the problem with the mini episode when Tom's on it. It's about the length of a regular episode. So we're going to wrap it up now. There is a story that is hilarious and amazing. You want to know what? I'm going to tell it. This is the end of the show. Here we go. This is the end of the show. Thank you guys so much. Remember, please don't die.
What do you say we both just leave? Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
All right. If you're still listening, what I'm going to do right now is read an email that was sent in by Crunchy. It's graphic. So if you're listening to this with your kids for some reason, then please turn it off. I have no idea where else this is going to go, so it's going to go here. Crunchy, prolific emailer, amazing human being, wrote in previously about her desire at a bar to get into sounding. If you do not know what sounding is, it is the art and science of the erotic insertion of rods into a man's urethra. Told you it was graphic. We begin this story of how Crunchy achieved her goal. Let's get all the boring details out of the way first. I was with the same guy for 2.5 years, and things ended badly, like really badly, and that sucks. I didn't just lose a romantic partner, I lost a best friend. I know that most people don't get along with their exes, but this guy was so much more to me than that. So whatever, I wasn't about to let it end. I still wanted to be friends. Eventually, he got the courage to come over and talk. I needed an apology, an explanation, and a reason to believe that he still knows what honesty is. At the end of it all, he says that he hopes I can forgive him. I assure him that the only thing that couldn't be forgiven is if he let his new partner stick things in his dick. Unless it's a guy, in which case, send video and we're good, end quote. He chuckled a bit and said nothing. After a too long moment of silence, I started to feel like I should say something. But just to make things less awkward. But then a realization dawned on me. No way. You did? Fuck you. You're such an asshole. He said, no, definitely not. But do you want to? I was thinking of how dumb of a question that was before I realized it was an offer. I'm unsure of the inspiration behind this. Could have been a really generous peace offering. Could have been an attempt to spice up his now boring sex life. The world may never know. And look, I'm not proud of this. Hooking up with people who are already partnered isn't really my style. But you know what? His new woman is still married. The divorce papers haven't been finalized. And maybe our hypothetical breakup papers haven't been finalized either. Now, I should probably explain the appeal of sounding. When you have things in your urethra, they wind up straight in the middle of your prostate or G-spot, instead of poking around the outside as you would through your butt or vagina. The result is crazy intense orgasms, where you won't even think about coming again for days, maybe weeks afterward. In order for this to happen with guys, the sound goes into the flaccid penis. Insertion into a hard dick definitely still is still used to pleasure a man from the inside, though, which only it sounds exotic as fuck, but in my experience, urethral penetration feels almost identical to vaginal penetration times 100. And note, vaginal penetration feels pretty darn good. So this guy tells me that he wants to get hard first. Going deep enough to reach the prostate scares him. Even more, just the thought of something being in his piss hole. Party pooper, but fine. Whatever. If you stick a dick in your mouth, it's going to get hard. It's science. Plus, blowjobs are awesome, so I begin. An hour later, we lie down in postcoital bliss. Shit! That wasn't supposed to happen. My self-control is terrible. Did I really just fuck up this opportunity? If you can get it up again, you can still do it, he said. Now, he's not at an age where he can just reset right away, but I'd spent years learning how to work around that. At this point, insinuating that I can't just feels like I'm being mocked and slightly insulted, so I don't like being mocked. She gets it up. And the sound slid right in with no resistance whatsoever. Even just holding the outside of his dick, I could feel it sliding its way down and its exact position. It was glorious. Oh, important detail. He wanted to be lying down and not having to look at what was happening. He immediately told me he was coming. To avoid forcing jizz into his bladder, I pulled the sound back out, but nothing happened. We spent the next minute asking each other if he came or not. Spoiler alert, he didn't. Okay. Attempt number 2, I asked how it feels so far and if it was hurting him. He said, it feels like I'm coming without the orgasm. Something is coming out. What is coming out of my dick? After I convinced him that he wasn't leaking everywhere, he calmed down a bit and admitted to me that it didn't hurt at all and he was irrationally worried. But it was so hot, he said. Okay, it burned a little the first time, but he confirmed that it's not too bad and it went away after the first time anyway. Eventually, after thrusting in and out, he told me it started to feel pinchy and that he was done for the day. I consider it a win. I did mention that more exploring would have to be done. I do believe he means exploring on his own. He said that he has a beginner sounders kit with small sounds that gradually get bigger in size, so all the necessary tools are at his disposal. I checked back in with him the next day, and everything was fine. I think I just opened somebody up to a whole new world of possibilities, and I feel proud of it. A whole new world of crunchy sticking things up her ex's dick. There we go. That's it. That's done. I don't know if I'm going to leave this in the episode. I love you guys. Bye.